welcome back to episode number 6 of the All Things Nothing podcast. Appreciate you guys being here, listening. How's everybody doing on this day? It's Tuesday for me, so probably release it tomorrow, Wednesday, for you guys out live. Hope everybody's weeks and everything's been going good, especially with everything going on still. With COVID still having everybody shut down for the most part, but states are beginning to open up and looks like there's some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, but still yet to be seen. But there's hope. Hope everybody is staying up on their workout or whatever regimen they're on. Or are you staying healthy out there? Are you staying in shape? You're working out. Hopefully you're doing something to keep your body moving while everybody's in shutdown, or doing out there, eating well, having a good meal plan. Let's see, I think I talked about it a few episodes ago, but I continue on my workout. So doing a full body workout, and then doing I've switched to some some abs and some leg work as well, and doing some sort of body weight body weight exercises, essentially. I didn't know what to call it for a second there, but the body weight exercises are good. So it keeps me moving, keeps me flexible, just keeps my body moving around. They're about 10 to 20 minutes long. It's a perfect amount of time. A little bit more would be great, but this is a perfect amount of time to sort of get my body warmed up, get my body moving, get my blood pressure, blood rate moved up for the time being, and then also eating well on top of that. So we're attempting to do better than I was before. But how's yours workout doing? How you doing? Are you guys taking any supplements? If you are, let me know. But yeah, it's been crazy sort of time flow right now. So but we did hit June. Valorant did release, so that was exciting. We saw Valorant finally be released, and the update came, and I thought it was going to be, honestly, a larger update. I mean, I had the beta downloaded, but I thought it was going to be a bigger update than it needed to be, but it didn't, and that's honestly great to hear. It was like a 2 gigabyte update, which was fantastic. I'm glad I didn't have to, spend hours downloading the game. But the update did release. New character was released, Reyna, along with the battle pass, along with the new selection in the store, and with a new mode. Definitely has been playing a little bit here and there. Been playing Spike Rush, which has been a lot of fun. Just sort of a fast-paced part of the game, which is personally my favorite. I do like games to play slow, and I know that this can be a slower type game, but I enjoy a little bit quicker, fast-paced action game, and the ability to sort of play at whichever pace that you'd like to choose is definitely a super benefit that I see. Because I either can rush or I can play it slow, however I need to be, which having that option is fantastic. Let's see. We did see protests over the last week, and some good movements that occurred with the Black Lives Matter movement moving forward, which is honestly great to see. But we saw video games delay based on that reason. I think that was a great reason to delay, honestly. Getting those voices heard is fantastic. So we talked about in the last episode about Call of Duty and some of the other updates coming along, and those updates were delayed till later. So we'll hopefully talk about those updates and those patch notes here in the future. But with Valorant releasing, I think that everybody's been busy there. Call of Duty, I know it's getting to release their updates here soon, along with a few other updates. Let's see, a personal game, I think I've talked about it before. The Marvel Strike Force had their 4.1 update today, and they released the X-Force characters. If you don't know what Marvel Strike Force is, it's a gacha game with characters that you take part in your alliance, or if you join an alliance, you upgrade characters, you fight in different battles. You take your favorite Marvel Strike Force characters and level them up and play with them. and upgrade their abilities. And it is like a 5-team ability, five characters per team. I mean, you can go in with less in some different modes, but there's a plethora of modes in arena and raids and blitzes, and they have different campaigns and events along the way that are a lot of fun to play with. I've been playing that for a while now, but they had their 4.1 update for the X-Force characters, and they're going to be releasing Domino, X-23, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. If you haven't seen the Deadpool or Deadpool 2 movies, those are a good sort of catch-up. If you're into the comics, there's also, you probably already know about all of these characters. I don't think X-23 was in Deadpool 2, definitely wasn't, but I think she played sort of a cameo, especially in the Logan series. I don't think they outright said her name was X-23, but sort of similarities there. But the 4.1 update came. A lot of good updates. Deadpool and Cable, who are currently characters in the game, got a lot of rework updates that made them for more viable characters. They were kind of team-up character, but they were honestly kind of lost out there. But with this team, they're just a high-powered, high offensive team that slam away on, not only in just regular game modes, but in the Alliance War, they get a lot more bonuses that make them probably one of the fastest, more offensive power teams out there. They are going to be a pain to deal with, honestly, because they hit hard and they hit with a lot of power. A lot of bugs were squashed. The Black Bolt bug, which was, airing out different games, especially on the iPhone. I think iPhone users, and I experienced it on the Android as well, but there was a lot of issues with the Black Bolt, and hopefully those bugs were squished, and a lot of more quicker paced programming that was done in the background to make the game faster. There's a lot of load time issues, and those were squashed, which is going to be a nice benefit going forward. But I am excited for that update and excited for more to come there. So I think that I'm going to attempt to get more into that and cover more of that as we go along. But those are sort of the biggest updates / news stories that are current that I know of. I mean, there's probably some more out there. But yeah, I'd like to talk about one of the things, and it happened over the weekend, but in-game events for video games, and especially like live events. I mean, this was sort of, I wouldn't say it's made popular. It was made popular by MMORPGs. I mean, they had World. If you don't know what an MMORPG is, or it's a massive multiplayer online role-playing game, so the titles you're going to see in that are obviously, the biggest one is World of Warcraft, or WoW. You've got SWTOR in there, or Star Wars The Old Republic. I talked about this previously too, the Lord of the Rings Online, with those type of games. And there's like the Elder Scrolls that are really current, Final Fantasy 14, which is a current one, and I think that there's a few other ones. I mean, Destiny has attempted to make an MMORPG, but SWTOR, WoW, ESO are sort of the biggest ones right now, with obviously WoW being the biggest one. But they have had in-game live events before that affect the entire world, and different events that happen that are very popular. But I think that, the story sort of in-game events from there, the MMORPGs have been doing for a long, long time now. But with the most recent, I would say, known fact of an actual in-game event, or an live in-game event, would be Fortnite, especially with their, I think they did their first live event was their Marshmello concert. Obviously, if you don't know, Fortnite is a battle royale game. There's different types of modes, but the most normal mode is 100 players drop in, and if you're playing solos, duos, or quads, you dropping in, and you're fighting against 100 other people, and the first to win, the last one to survive is the winner. There's a building mechanic in it, hence the Fortnite, and you build and you attempt to win the game. But they did a live event with Marshmello, and they also, at the end of their seasons and at the beginning of their seasons, I mean, pretty much anytime they want, they do sort of live in-game events that occur that'll change the map. I mean, in like season 7 or 8 of like chapter 1 is how they're describing it now. They like had like this whole volcano erupt, and this took out some of the more famous landmarks around the map and significantly changed the map. I mean, they had a volcano arise on the map that was never there before. There was quite a few differences from before. I mean, they used to have, and then they went from there into some sort of futuristic mode that was crazy, that allowed you to sort of fly around the map at ease. But they have these massive live game events, and those live game events are like a one-time thing. I mean, you got to be there. You got to sign on time. They'll announce it. But the Marshmello event was a big one. And then most recently, they did the Travis Scott concert. And I think they've done another live event. I think that was like the second sort of live concert event. And then Call of Duty attempted to do something similar, but not like a live in-game event, like a concert, but they did something with an Easter egg hunt / finding out / sort of event. And I think with the delay, they sort of delayed that, but I think we're going to be experiencing something here soon. Not sure on that. But the concert series for Fortnite that they've done in the past, I mean, Marshmello sort of arrived. Nothing sort of special. He arrived on stage, did a concert. It was probably one of the best concerts. I mean, you just had to join in and you could listen to his music, and he played it live, essentially. I'm not sure if it was live or if it was pre-recorded, but I remember that was a huge moment, and you had to be there. Most recently, they did the Travis Scott concert, and that was all pre-recorded, but also it was a very, very animated CGI thing that you could live interact with CGI. You couldn't interact live with it, but the concert interacted, and it was very that was very cool. It was a cool concert. It was a cool thing. You know, they had a whole like 10 minutes of like CGI and music playing, and it was crazy that could happen like a live event. My take is that those live events are, I mean, Fortnite puts some of the best live events on that I've ever been a part of, and I think that it's a sign of things to come, sign of things to be better in video games, and grouping together and to give fans sort of an experience that they would never find. And like, who knew playing a battle royale game you could attend a concert live, and then let alone interact with that concert live. And then it just completely changes the world. It's just it immerses you into the universe that they're in and into the environment, and you get to take part in this sort of concert that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Like, if Travis Scott put on a concert in Pi, if he came to town, maybe I'm going to go, maybe I'm not. But here, oh, hey, I can be at home and I can take part of this event. Heck yeah. Then I'll for sure take part in that. And that event was probably one of the best. The live concert series that they do, stellar. In-game events that they do on like seasonal changes and everything coming in, Fortnite does a great job doing that too. I kind of wanted to discuss further. Destiny decided to do their own live in-game event over the weekend. I haven't played Destiny 2 in a very long time. I do pay attention to the news here and there because it's a game that I did play a lot, especially D1. And D2 I played a lot when it first was released, but then there's, they really sort of mishandled that game at the very beginning, and then even into the second season, it's just a lot of mishandling of the game, which sort of really turned it off to me, and it just wasn't my favorite. I mean, in D1 they had they did, didn't take care of it as they should have, but it was still a good game. And D2 was sort of did the same thing, but it was a worse game. But Destiny over the weekend announced that I think it was on a Friday, that you needed to be in the tower at like 10 or like 9 a.m. on Saturday morning for. They have a global reset timer, and that's 9 a.m. So they had a in-game event They have this thing, the Almighty, in quotations, sitting in the air looking over the players' hub, or the tower is what they call it. And it was supposed to be this huge, I mean, not necessarily huge event, but I think that that a lot of us are sort of accustomed to the Fortnite event and to sort of their live service. I mean, when it's 10 a.m., they say, hey, be in the game, prior to 10 a.m., and you can join the event. And then essentially you jump into like a regular battle royale, and then all time changes, and then nothing, like the timer stops, storm stops, everything stops, and this whole event starts like exactly almost at 10 a.m. and things start happening. And I think people were jumping into the tower prior to 9 a.m. So they were there probably a half hour before, and 30 minutes, 15 minutes, you want to get in there. And just in case things happen. I mean, most things start right on time. The entire live event didn't start until 10:30. Luckily, I'm on the West Coast, so 9 a.m., 10:30 a.m. isn't too bad. I think it was 10, honestly. I want to change it. Sorry. It was 10 a.m. time. So everybody had to be into the tower at 10 a.m. or if you wanted to take part. You didn't have to. You could go watch a stream of a streamer doing it. But if you wanted to get in there yourself, you had to be, make sure you're in there, around probably beforehand. Their actual event didn't even start till 10 or 11:30, almost an hour and a half later. Probably 15 to 20 minutes in, there wasn't any communication by the actual Destiny Twitter. If you follow the community managers themselves, they were updating the community there. But that was the only way to figure out, there's nothing happened. And then as time went, you saw things slowly happening. You saw all of these rockets sort of flying in the air, and happening, and you saw a few other things going on, but it was an hour. It was a long sort of process, and then they finally, spoilers, blew up the ship in the sky. But it was an hour and a half. It was long. I enjoy Destiny, and I enjoy their game. Maybe not super recently, but that mishandling of the event, miscommunication by their team was just really rough. They definitely could have done, especially curbed expectations of when the actual things were supposed to happen. Not setting a good precedent on sort of in-game live events Destiny did. And I don't want to throw shots at them, but they definitely could have handled that a lot better, and especially sort of curbed expectations. I think a lot of people were jumping in sort of like a Fortnite event. Things start happening, and things get crazy. But in Destiny, just wasn't the case. So very unfortunate there. My hot take is that I'm a proponent of the in-game live events. I enjoy those events. Those are fun. If it's a game that you're really into and those things happen, it is more exciting than anything to be partaking in those events and doing those things. It is a lot of fun, especially if it's a game that you're currently playing. They have seasonal things that come along, but those in-game events I like them, and I enjoy that, and I think that as companies come and they start doing their own live events, I think that it's the more the better, and they can sort of take what Fortnite has done and then improvise on that and then make a better event from there. And so we're going to kind of see this competing things of games getting better and better at their especially live in-game events. So I'm excited to see what's happening there. But Destiny could have done a very much better job, especially communicating what their event times were going to be there. So that was kind of disappointing. Especially the whole event only took 8 minutes. Not even that. I think it only took 6 minutes. But it was sort of a lackluster event. They announced this whole thing. It was supposed to be exciting. Definitely wasn't. So if you're trying to go catch the replay of that, definitely don't. You heard it here explained here at the All Things Nothing podcast. Oh man. So switching topics. Sports got a huge announcement. The UFC has been doing their thing. We saw some good fights over the weekend. The NBA announced their return this week. Earlier this week, they sort of announced it. I don't think anything's necessarily been super live, but things have been announced. And they're going to collect like sort of the top teams that were in the playoffs or that were on sort of the bubble of possibly getting in the playoffs. And they're going to play like 8 or like 12 regular season games to determine the final teams for the playoffs and then continue playoffs from there. So, unfortunately, not doing the tournament, which they could have done, which would have been fantastic. But that would have been a great idea. Come on, NBA. You know you want to do that all game tournament. That would have been a lot of fun. That would have got a lot of viewers. I would have been viewing it, but a regular season tournament with some playoff games, not too excited on that. But the UFC, UFC fight card. Get to those events. Let's see. What did they over the weekend? You saw. There was a title fight versus Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. And you saw some very good fights, especially the main card was honestly really well done. Sean O'Malley versus Eddie Wineland. Sean O'Malley came out with this rainbow-colored hair, cornrows, and just knocked his Eddie Wineland out in the first minute. Congrats to him. That was one of the highlight reel punches over the weekend. Aljamain Sterling defeated Corey Sandhagen by a rear naked choke in the first round, minute 28, which is insane. Congrats to him. And then Cody Garbrandt on a three-fight loss streak. KO'd his person, KO'd Rafael Assunção in the last second of the second round. Just an incredible fast puncher. That was an insane highlight. If you have the ability to go look up that highlight, that was probably one of the fastest punches, especially just the quickest punch that I've ever seen that just, kind of goes with him backing up. All of a sudden, his opponent's knocked out. So it's just so crazy how KOs and TKOs can just happen on a dime. And then in the main event, we saw Amanda Nunes and Felicia Spencer. Amanda Nunes, honestly, she's the GOAT for a reason. She dominated. She was her second fight at featherweight, which is 145 pounds, and she just totally dominated Felicia Spencer. They fought to decision, but it was like a 50-44, 50-44, and 50-45. So that means that Amanda nagged multiple 10-8 rounds, that's just total domination, honestly. So congrats to her. In this week's Saturday's card, you see, this, I don't know. I mean, I want to stretch this, but I'm not going to because that's just going to be terribly pain and agonizing for you guys. The main card, most people won't know. Featherweight, Andre Fili versus Charles Jourdain. That's one of my 3-star fights to look out for. I don't have a rating system, so I don't know what 3 stars means, but it's there. Andre Fili is probably one of the quickest, more talented athletic fighters that I've ever seen, and he's very good. Fights out of Alpha Male. So hopefully I'm going to pick him there. Ray Borg fights Merab Davashvili. Ray Borg has a big story, but I hope that he gets the win there. The co-main event, I know these guys, but they're... that's rough. And then the main event is Jessica Eye versus Cynthia Calvillo. Jessica Eye, let's see. I think her most recent fight was a title fight. No, it can't be. It can't be. Please. It is. Okay. Well, it wasn't a title fight. But she did fight for a title against Valentina Shevchenko. We saw her get head kicked, knocked out. And then she fought in her most recent Viviane Araújo. I'm totally butchering that name. But I beat her by unanimous decision. albeit she missed weight. So she missed weight by 6 pounds, which is the maximum amount allowed for missing weight to make sure that your fight goes on. So hopefully, definitely, my take on fights when fighters miss weight is it's such an asterisk. I mean, she missed weight. The other person still agreed to fight her. They still fought. But I mean, that person cut 6 pounds to make weight versus you not cutting that weight, cutting the extra 6 weights and having that energy drained from you. I mean, she won, and, people can always say, a win's a win. I get that, a win's a win, but that's a little bit rough. That's tough for me, and I mean, you don't always get sort of those stats every time somebody fights. I mean, those are super detailed stats, but that's a win with an asterisk. I mean, it's a half win. I mean, you won, but you missed weight and you didn't fully complete your job. It's just like completing your job, but like you got the Spark Notes version. So you just found it on the paper and you used it. So, I mean, a win's a win. She's a fighter. She went out there and won by unanimous decision. I mean, who's to say that the result would have been different if you made weight? But maybe that extra 6 pounds and the extra cutting could have, who knows? That could have definitely been a hard thing for her. But she fights this week versus Cynthia Calvillo. And Cynthia Calvillo, let's see, Jessica Eye is currently the number one. She's the number one. How they rank the UFC ratings is like the champion's up there, obviously champion, so they have a C next to the name, and then 1 through 10. I think they go 1 through 15, but 1 through 10 is sort of how I see it. So she's the number one contender right now, and then Cynthia Calvillo is an up and comer, and she is such a scrappy, great fighter. She lost to Carla Esparza a couple fights ago, but she's currently on a 2-fight win streak, winning by submission, winning by decision, and then most recently, she fought to a draw. Oh, she did, and she missed weight in her last bout too. So, but that was a draw that she fought to in her most recent event. So, and ironically, bonus side note here that both fighters have tested positive for marijuana. Under USADA new regulations, marijuana isn't a tested substance, but it's not tested for out of competition, but you're not supposed to like take it within like the 24 hours, I think, of it starting before. So, yeah, you can't smoke marijuana for like 24 hours from like the time you weigh in to right after the fight. Is like sort of your grace period or your time that you can't drink, you can't smoke. Anyway, I hope Calvillo wins. Jessica Eye is a great fighter. Definitely not my favorite. Definitely has had her cringe moments in the past, and I think Cynthia is out there, new fighter for sure, but she needs to get this W for sure. But a lot of good announced fights coming up here soon. You got Curtis Blades versus Alexander Volkov, heavyweight fight coming up. That should be a fantastic fight. Another UFC card coming up here at the end of June. Let's see. The main event hasn't been super announced yet for that one yet. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just sort of UFC 251. We see that was announced today that you see Kamaru Usman versus Burns. A lot of controversy in that fight, honestly. And then you had, let's see, most recently you had the Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier trilogy fight announced today. So that's going to be a little bit crazy here soon. So that should be a fun fight. We'll see what happens there. That's still a ways off, but I want to know if that fight actually happens, because that's like a trilogy fight. Stipe's been out for a long time with injuries. So, but back to the Usman Burns. I mean, we just saw Burns beat Tyron Woodley a a week or two ago. He's been absolutely dominant. Kamaru Usman is, the current welterweight champion. He's a fantastic champion. But the reason why this is such a controversial fight is because Jorge Masvidal has been up on the top for so long. He's been up there. He's like the current BMF champion. I mean, it's a self-appointed sort of thing that the UFC gave him. It's not him self-appointed. It's the UFC, but they made this title up essentially out of nowhere. But yeah, but they couldn't come to terms, and now it's him versus Gilbert. And Nate Diaz sent out a good tweet, and it's like, this is kind of sort of what's wrong with fighters. It's just like most fighters know what their worth is or ask for more. There's a lot of different things. I mean, Conor is sort of like, you have your Conor McGregors out there who are like, hey, show me the money and we'll get a fight going, sort of thing. And becoming the best, but show me the money for sure. And then you have other fighters out there sort of like Donald Cerrone, where it's just like, I don't care what the money is. I'm here to prove how good I am, how good we are, how good of a champion I am, and go from there. Regardless of just testing the skills and out there to fight anybody anywhere, anytime, is sort of that mentality. And I think a lot of fighters, especially Nate Diaz, you'll see him. He's sort of that way. Like, hey, let's rack it up. Show me the money, but let's duke it up. I'm not gonna let the money part stand in the way of showing me who's the best, who's ready to stand, who's ready to get it going. And I think that is sort of where Nate's coming from. I mean, Kamaru Usman had this opportunity to fight Jorge Masvidal and really test himself out against especially the number one contender in his division, but yet he relegated to Gilbert. I mean, I think Jorge wanted a lot more money, and the UFC didn't want to pay him, so maybe it's not on his side. But I mean, as the champion, I think you have a little bit of pull, and it's just like, hey, I want to fight this guy. Whatever it takes, let's get it done, and let's get this fight going. And I think that would have been such a better fight, especially for the champion. I mean, this fight, Gilbert just beat Tyron, who was a very high contender. Am I excited about this fight? No. Is it a championship fight? Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, it's an announcement. There are definitely a lot better fights and a lot different better opponents that he could have chosen to fight. And I think Nate was right. I mean, I think he hit it right on the head where, let's see, I can just read his tweet to you real fast here. But yeah, he's like, this is what's wrong with people claiming they're fighters, settling for less because they know they're not worth crap. If you should have fought the next guy in line, not the guy who would take less because he's told to. That's why no one will remember you guys. This isn't a title fight. And I think he's right. I mean, it's a UFC appointed. They're fighting. It's a championship fight, but I mean, not really. It's not really a championship fight. It's a fight. I mean, he's fighting a contender, but I mean, you need to pay and you need to step up, especially if you're champion. You need to fight the best guys out there, especially to prove yourself a champion. But yeah, that sort of wraps it up for the sports portion, and appreciate you guys being here. Side note, a little bonus update. One of my friends has been looking forward to this pod racing game to be announced. It was episode 1 pod racing. I played it a long time ago on the N64 or whatever it was released on back then, the Xbox. But that game was supposed to come out May 12th, and then it was delayed again until May 26th, and now it's delayed inevitably until things come around again. So that game is delayed inevitably, if you didn't know. So bonus update down there, has nothing to do with anything, but yeah. And then let's see, question of the day: are you a subs or dubs person? If you don't know what subs are or dubs are, I'm talking about sort of anime. And anime is Oh, that's right. I was going to cover some anime. I will have to do that in the next episode. What sort of anime I watch or look forward to. But subs are subtext, subtitles. So the show will play, and it'll be in its native language, whichever that one is. And then you'll have subtext or subtitles underneath that you'll have to read through the story. Or are you a dubs person where the entire show is dubbed or spoken over with like the English language or whatever native language you're listening on, and which one do you prefer? I am definitely a dubs person. I enjoy subtitles. I did watch Parasite, which is all subtitles, but that was a good movie. I'm not saying that anime is not, but I mean, I've watched Dragon Ball Z as a kid, and I listened to the dubs version of that, and it was my favorite. And then now on Hulu, the subtitle version is out, but it's all the Japanese animation. But it's just really hard for me to get into the story, and especially the action, especially when it's all subtitles. I just can't get into it. It's hard for me to watch. Definitely have to watch in dubs. So I'm a dubs person through and through. So fight me. But hope you guys are having a good week, and appreciate all of the listeners out there. Got to see my family a couple weeks ago, and they somehow found my podcast as well, and then were goofing on me. So I appreciate the support there. I mean, they were really supportive, but they were like, they didn't. I mean, they're family, so love them to death. But appreciate you guys. Appreciate your listeners listening and following me here. I hope you guys have a good week. If you need to follow me or at me, definitely comment down below on the YouTube video, like and subscribe. That always helps out. Appreciate that for sure. And you can follow me on Twitter at Sparrow933 for more updates there. Appreciate you guys, and appreciate everything that you guys for listening and you guys commenting and suggestions out there. And yeah, and I hope you continue along with me on this journey. Appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good week. Hope you guys have a good workout.